Speakers of all languages, whether they're endangered languages like I work on, or thriving languages with millions of speakers, make up words for new things all the time. The Arapaho community, the younger generation is coming now to a committee of elders and asking the committee of elders to invent new language for things like Facebook and Twitter, and even common everyday things like rice, which weren't native to the area as a plant. The committee of elders comes up with words. For Facebook, they just decided to extend the meaning of their word for gossip. So their word for gossip now also means Facebook. And their word for Twitter is a phrase, little gossip. And their word for rice is based on what they think rice looks like when it's spilled on the ground. And they use their word for maggot.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Heights knew the language I'm working on, Southeastern Pomo, borrowed words from other languages. And so anyone want to guess what dawa means? And then Heights knew the language I'm working on, borrowed something from Spanish. Anyone want to guess what la misa means? This was a phrase, so la mesa is, they reanalyzed it as a single word and then reanalyzed the stress to be on the first syllable. Heights knew the language I'm working on, literally translated underwear as Yoa Asham. How about Bush for president, the first President Bush, and Japanese suru, which means do? It's not an English word. It's a Japanese expression, bushusuru, which means to puke in the prime minister's lap. And
Pretty good.
And then it got extended and to just mean to vomit. Heights knew combined their own word for fire, ho, and the English word for cart, and they came up with ho kalita. Anyone want to think of what a fire cart is? Heights New uses ui kanchim. Things that are hanging on or towards your eyes are eyeglasses. And that Arapaho committee of elders came up with a word for computer that is, it knows everything, is the translation. So I would like you to discuss with each other how you might come up with a name for Zoom or video conference. If you were going to describe it metaphorically, like it knows everything, what would, how would you describe Zoom or video conference?
A meeting in another place attended by a lot of people who are calling into that same place.
Okay.
Come together by face and voice.
It could be called the fake togetherness.
Wow.
Or remote togetherness.
That's good. A substitute for togetherness.
Together with no touch.
Together on the wind.
Little it knows everything.
Yeah, little it knows everything.
Okay.
Knows everything in your pocket.
It knows everything in your pocket. Good.
Knows everything in your hand.
So
I like Pocket Genie.
Pocket Genie. Okay.
Pocket
That's
genie.
a great one.
Yeah.
That's like the pocket magic.
Yeah.
Tiny Mail.
Tiny mail. Okay.
That's perfect.
But is mail, it's not a traditional word.
They have
It's
mail.
not, though they do have a way of saying send. But it's probably send, and then the word for message would be, or text would be asun, which comes from the word asu. The verb asu means to write or to mark or to draw. So it's make marks. And then
Yeah.
the noun, you add an N to it and you make the noun, which means both writing, drawing, the markings. It means also photo, image, or picture. It also means the writing instrument. So it's used for pen or marker or pencil.
So text messaging is a bit like the telegraph.
Right.
Hmm.
And you could just add new telegraph or something like that.
Okay, yes, good. Okay.
Little picture or picture feelings.
Okay. Yes, probably with the word asun as the word for picture. Okay.
Little boxes.
Can you say Hollywood Squares and Heights New?
What about like that? It was asun,
Yeah.
and is there a word for council? Like faces all together.
Faces all
or
together.
images all together.
Yeah, yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Brady
Yeah.
Bunch, but I'm sure that doesn't translate.
The
well.
Brady Bunch. Okay.
Turn it off and back on.
Start again.
And
Start again, maybe, because turning it off and on also is not in their language. They didn't have things that you turned on and off.
Oh, okay.
Little right.
Little right, okay.
Yeah.
And we had talked about how would you say text message, and then there's the action of texting. So sending a
Oh.
text message. So
Oh yeah, send little right.
You could invent one of them and then turn that into a verb. Like we say,
Yeah.
Google was a thing. Well, Google was a number spelled differently, and it was
Right.
borrowed. It was borrowed by the company as its name, and now we can say, Google it as a verb, or I.
And Google it doesn't necessarily mean use Google. It just means
Look
use
it
a
up.
search engine.
Yeah, look it up.
Become like Kleenex.
Search.
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really like the in the wind thing.
Yeah.
Like you could do lots of things in the wind. You could raise your hand in the wind,
Mm-hmm.
like in
You
the
could
meeting.
send your message
That's
on
good.
the wind.
There'd be
Yeah,
like
hand
a
in the wind.
flower.
Yeah.
Great.
Call.
Oh, how about call with numbers?
Yeah, or type in the numbers, which
But the thing is that the word dial should disappear from our language, but it
it should,
hasn't.
shouldn't it? It hasn't.
Now that we're dialing like this, it could be something about buttons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and even the word button is an interesting thing because these are not buttons that like on the buttons on the phone when the button version push button phones were invented. I was like, what is that called? When we got a push button phone.
Keypad.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't even dial. We all just speak into the phone. It's like call so-and-so.
Right.
Right.
We say
No.
we just
I
speak
don't-
it in.
Hey,
Yeah, I
Siri.
just talk into the phone.
So I
So-
still touch the person's name on the screen, but I think you use the voice, right? And
It's all
Benson, maybe
voice
you use the
activated.
voice. Yeah.
It the highway and door, the dawa, it's like the way. It could be the way to speak. A phone could be way to speak, like the thing you go through.
Nice.
Wait,
Talk.
The speaking way would be the word order in the
Oh,
language.
that's really nice.
That's great.
And then it could be dial, could be touch the speaking way.
I like the way you think, Brian.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to use your language.
If you wanted to use something like buttons, maybe beads or stones, you know? like-
Yes,
why even come up with a whole new word? Why not just say Facebook?
you could. Well, that's the first option of that I gave in this list of how to create new language is to borrow. But the most fun is definitely the metaphorical descriptions.
For us, the most fun for us.
Yes, except that the Arapaho Nation has the younger generation, the elders don't want the new words to come into the language. And in fact, in France, in the l'Académie Française doesn't let new words come into French. And so there's a huge difference in the French in Quebec and the French in France because They just won't let any new words come in. But in Quebec, everyone says le weekend and le parking.
Oh.
During the time that Hitler was in power, he didn't want to use any borrowed words from other languages. So he insisted that German versions would be created so that instead of being able to say telephone, they had to call it Fernsprecher, which means a far speaker. And
Mhm.
it's the same kind of thing you're talking about, putting
Yeah.
together little botching things together to create a new concept because he did not want foreign words in their language.
And yeah, and it speaks to the cultural experience that she's gone through
Yeah,
with parents who wanted to preserve a certain cultural experience, right?
yeah.